My dear brother, my dear sister, before you scroll, before you skip, pause for a moment. If this message reached you right now, it is not random. There is a tiredness in you that sleep does not fix, a heaviness in your chest. You haven't been able to explain. You still try, you still pray, you still carry on, but your soul feels drained. This message is not for everyone. It is for the one who keeps giving, keeps listening, keeps sacrificing, and wonders why they feel empty. Listen carefully. Not every exhaustion comes from work. Not every heaviness comes from hardship. Sometimes your soul is tired because you stayed too long, where your peace was slowly being taken. Allah does not always remove harmful people suddenly. Sometimes He speaks through discomfort first. And if you felt restless lately, if conversations feel heavy, if certain people now drain you instead of bringing calm, this is not a coincidence. What you will hear today will slowly make sense of that tiredness. So stay with me. Not because this is long, but because what you will understand by the end may finally explain what your heart has been trying to tell you all along. Your soul will recognize the truth. Your soul feels heavy because Allah is protecting you. There are moments in life when nothing bad happens on the outside, but everything feels heavy on the inside. You walk away from someone and suddenly your chest feels tight. Your breathing feels shallow. Your heart feels tired. Your mind feels noisy. Your soul feels like it wants to hide. And you stand there thinking, what just happened? They didn't insult me. They didn't argue with me. They didn't say anything wrong. Yet something inside you feels disturbed. My dear one, this feeling is not random. This feeling is not weakness. This feeling is not imagination. This is Allah protecting you. Before your mind understands people, your soul already knows the truth. The mind is slow. The soul is fast. The mind needs evidence. The soul feels reality instantly. Allah created your heart in a very special way. He made it sensitive so it can protect you. He made it aware so it can warn you. He made it alive so it can feel danger before damage happens. Just like your hand pulls away from fire without thinking, your soul pulls away from harm before your mind understands it. That heaviness you feel is not there to confuse you. It is there to stop you. Sometimes Allah saves you, not by closing doors loudly, but by making your heart uncomfortable quietly. You feel restless. You feel uneasy. You feel tired for no clear reason. And you keep asking yourself, why do I feel like this? Am I too sensitive? Am I overthinking? No, my dear one, you are listening. Allah has placed a warning system inside your heart. When something is not good for you, your heart reacts. When someone is not safe for your peace, your soul becomes heavy. Not everyone who smiles with you is meant to walk with you. Not everyone who talks nicely has clean intentions. Not everyone who listens to you wishes you well. And Allah sees what you cannot see. You may see their words. Allah sees their intentions. You may hear their voice. Allah hears what is hidden in their heart. You may feel confused. Allah knows exactly what is harming you. That is why sometimes, without any clear reason, your heart feels uncomfortable around certain people. This discomfort is not cruelty. This discomfort is mercy. Not every pain is punishment. Some pain is prevention. Sometimes Allah protects you by making you feel tired around someone so you don't become emotionally attached. Sometimes Allah protects you by disturbing your peace so you don't share too much. Sometimes Allah protects you by draining your energy temporarily so you don't lose your soul permanently. And my dear brother, my dear sister, Allah loves you too much to let you be harmed silently. If Allah wanted to punish you, He would let you feel comfortable while being destroyed. But when Allah loves you, He makes your heart alert. That heaviness you feel after certain company is Allah saying, my servant, be careful. Be careful with your heart. Be careful with your emotions. Be careful with your energy. Because the heart is sacred. A heart connected to Allah cannot stay comfortable around what pulls it away from Him. Sometimes you feel sad, even when life looks fine. Sometimes you feel tired, even when you didn't work hard. Sometimes you feel empty, even when people are around you. This happens when your soul is exposed. to things it was never meant to carry. Allah did not create you to carry emotional weight for everyone. He did not create you to absorb negativity endlessly. He did not create you to bleed quietly. If your heart feels disturbed after certain company, Allah is whispering to you gently, this is costing you more than you know. Costing you your peace, costing you your sleep, costing you your focus in prayer, costing you your closeness to me. And Allah does not want you to lose Him while trying to keep people. Sometimes the sign is not loud. Sometimes the sign is not dramatic. Sometimes the sign is just a feeling, a tight chest, a tired heart, a restless soul. And that feeling is enough. Do not ignore it. Do not silence it. Do not force comfort where Allah placed discomfort. You don't need a big reason to protect your heart. You don't need proof to listen to your soul. You don't need permission to step back when your peace is disturbed. Allah placed that feeling inside you because He cares about you. He is holding your heart before it breaks. He is guiding you before you fall. He is protecting you before you understand the danger. So my dear brother, my dear sister, trust Allah when your heart feels heavy. That heaviness is not against you. It is for you. It is guidance wrapped in discomfort. It is mercy dressed as pain. It is Allah standing between you and what would have harmed you. Trust Him. Sometimes Allah does not remove people from your life immediately. Sometimes He removes the comfort first. You still see them. You still speak to them. You still smile politely. But inside, your heart no longer feels at ease. This is not cruelty from Allah. This is kindness. Because if Allah removed everyone suddenly, your heart would shatter. So He removes them gently, piece by piece, feeling by feeling. First, the laughter feels forced. Then the conversations feel heavy. Then the silence feels better than company. And slowly, your soul begins to detach. This is how Allah protects without breaking you. You may notice that after being around certain people, you no longer feel like praying, or your prayer feels rushed, or your heart feels distant, and you wonder, why am I feeling like this? My dear one, Allah is showing you what is pulling you away from Him. Anything that distances you from Allah cannot be good for your soul. A heart connected to Allah cannot stay comfortable around what drains its light. Sometimes Allah makes you uncomfortable, so you stop forcing connections He never approved. You may try to convince yourself, they've been in my life for so long. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to seem ungrateful. But Allah is not asking you to hurt anyone. He is asking you to protect yourself. You don't need to argue. You don't need to accuse. You don't need to explain. Your heart already knows. That tiredness you feel is your soul asking for relief. Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear, but sometimes we burden ourselves by staying where we don't belong. You keep giving, you keep listening, you keep absorbing, and your soul keeps shrinking until Allah steps in and says gently, enough exhaustion, enough emotional bleeding, enough silent suffering. Sometimes Allah allows your heart to feel heavy, so you stop pouring into empty spaces. You see, my dear brother, my dear sister, not everyone who needs you deserves you. Some people don't want healing, they want an audience. Some people don't want peace, they want control. Some people don't want light, they want someone else's light to survive. And Allah sees this clearly. So He protects you in ways you may not understand at first. He makes your heart uncomfortable. He makes your soul restless. He makes your peace disappear around certain people. This is Allah saying, my servant, this is not your place anymore. When you finally listen, something beautiful happens. Your heart feels lighter. Your breathing becomes deeper. Your mind becomes calmer. You start enjoying silence. You start craving Allah more. You start feeling like yourself again. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when Allah removes harm before it becomes destruction. My dear one, never feel guilty. For listening to your soul, never feel weak. For stepping back quietly, never feel wrong. For choosing peace over chaos. Allah placed that feeling inside you because He loves you. He is teaching you that not every door should be forced open and not every connection should be kept alive. Sometimes the greatest sign of Allah's care is not happiness. It is discomfort that saves you from future pain. So when your heart feels heavy, pause it. When your soul feels uneasy, listen. When your peace disappears, trust Allah. He is not pushing you away from people. He is pulling you closer to Him. And in that closeness, you will find the peace you were searching for in others. May Allah protect your heart. May He heal your soul. May He give you the courage to walk away from what drains you without hatred, without anger, without guilt. And may He replace every heaviness with light. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. One of the hardest lessons we learn in life is that not everyone deserves access to our inner world. This is difficult because you have a kind heart. You care deeply. You listen sincerely. You feel strongly. And because of that, you often open your heart too quickly. You share your pain. You share your fears. You share your hopes. You share your struggles. You think everyone will handle your heart gently the way you handle theirs. But my dear one, not every hand is soft and not every intention is pure. Allah created the heart as something sacred. It is not meant to be touched by everyone. It is not meant to be exposed to everyone. It is not meant to carry the weight of every soul. Some people are only meant to know your name, not your wounds. Some people are only meant to see your smile, not your tears. Some people are only meant to walk beside you for a short time, not enter the deepest parts of your heart. And this does not make you cold, it makes you wise. Islam never taught us to empty our hearts in front of everyone. It taught us balance. Even the Prophet ﷺ was gentle, kind and loving, but he did not give everyone the same access. He chose carefully. He shared wisely. He protected his heart. So why do we feel guilty when we try to do the same? My dear brother, my dear sister, your heart is not a place for entertainment. It is not a place for gossip. It is not a place for emotional dumping. Some people come into your life not to support you, but to feed on your emotions. They listen, but they don't pray for you. They ask questions, but they don't wish you well. They stay close, but only when you are weak. And when you finally need support, they disappear. Allah did not create your heart to be used this way. That is why sometimes after opening up to certain people, you feel regret. You feel exposed. You feel uncomfortable. You feel like you shared too much. That feeling is not shame. That feeling is learning. Allah is teaching you discernment. You see, my dear one, not everyone who listens is meant to carry your story. Some people are curious, not caring. Some people are entertained, not concerned. Some people collect information, not trust. And Allah sees all of it. He sees who deserves access and who only wants advantage. That is why protecting your inner world is not arrogance. It is obedience. When you protect your heart, you are honoring what Allah placed inside you. You are saying, "Oh Allah, this heart you gave me is precious. I will not hand it to everyone." You can still be kind. You can still be polite. You can still be respectful. But you don't have to be emotionally available to everyone. There is a difference between being good and being exposed. Some people confuse a kindness with weakness. They think because you are gentle, they can take from you endlessly. But Islam teaches us that strength and softness can exist together. You can be gentle and still have boundaries. You can be loving and still say no. You can forgive and still step back. This does not make you heartless. It makes you healthy. My dear brother, my dear sister, your inner world shapes your outer life. What enters your heart affects your peace. What stays in your heart affects your prayer. What disturbs your heart affects your connection with Allah. So be careful who you allow inside. If someone constantly leaves you confused, drained, or doubting yourself, they are not safe for your inner world. You don't need to announce this. You don't need to confront everyone. You don't need to explain. Sometimes distance is the kindest decision for your soul. Allah never asked you to sacrifice your peace to keep others comfortable. He asked you to protect your heart so it can stay connected to Him. When you limit access, you don't lose love. You gain clarity. You don't lose people. You gain peace. You don't become lonely. You become lighter. And Allah fills the space that unnecessary people once occupied. So, my dear one, choose carefully. Not everyone deserves to sit in the deepest part of your heart. That space is reserved for Allah and for those who bring you closer to Him. One reason this lesson is so difficult is because you were taught that saying yes makes you good and saying no makes you selfish. So you keep giving access. You keep opening your heart. You keep explaining yourself. You keep showing patience, even when your soul is tired. And slowly, without realizing it, you start living for people instead of living with Allah. You answer messages even when your heart needs rest. You listen to problems even when your soul is already heavy. You stay available even when your peace is disappearing. And then one day, you wake up feeling empty and you don't know why. My dear one, this is what happens. When too many people live inside your heart, Allah never asked you to carry everyone's emotions. He never asked you to fix everyone's pain. He never asked you to bleed silently for the comfort of others. That is not worship, that is exhaustion. Sometimes you feel guilty for pulling back. You feel bad for replying late. You feel wrong for saying no. You feel uncomfortable choosing yourself. But ask yourself gently, when you were drained, who noticed? When your heart was heavy, who asked? When your soul needed care, who protected you? Allah sees this. That guilt you feel is not from Allah. Allah never guilts you for protecting yourself. Allah does not shame you for choosing peace. Allah does not blame you for setting limits. That pressure you feel comes from fear of disappointing people. But my dear brother, my dear sister, disappointing people is sometimes the price of staying close to Allah. If giving access pulls you away from Allah, that access is too expensive. You don't have to cut people off harshly. You don't have to change your personality. You don't have to become cold. You just become selective. You listen less. You explain less. You share less. You stay quiet more. And in that quiet, your heart begins to heal. You start feeling safe again. You start feeling calm again. You start feeling like yourself again. This is not distance from love. This is return to balance. Some people will notice the change. They may say, "You've changed. You're not the same anymore." And my dear one, they are right. You are no longer emptying yourself to keep others full. You are no longer bleeding to keep others comfortable. You are no longer available at the cost of your soul. And Allah is pleased with this. When you limit access, Allah increases clarity. When you protect your heart, Allah protects your peace. When you choose silence, Allah speaks to you more clearly. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You begin to enjoy your prayers again. You begin to feel light in your chest again because your heart is no longer crowded. Me dear brother, me dear sister, not everyone who wants closeness deserves it. Not everyone who asks for your time needs it. Not everyone who listens is safe. And that is okay. Allah created different levels of closeness for a reason. Some people are meant to stay far. Some are meant to stay near. Some are meant to pass through briefly. And some are meant to leave so you can breathe again. When you stop giving access to everyone, you are not losing love. You are saving your soul. And Allah replaces what you protect with something better. Peace replaces pressure. Clarity replaces confusion. Light replaces heaviness. And most importantly, Allah fills the space you once gave to people who never deserved it. So my dear one, do not be afraid to protect your inner world. It is precious. It is fragile. It belongs first to Allah. And when Allah is given first place in your heart, everything else finds its proper position. May Allah grant you wisdom. May He grant you courage. May He grant you peace. And may He surround your heart only with what brings you closer to Him. Soul drainers don't hurt you loudly, they exhaust you quietly. Some people do not hurt you in obvious ways. They do not shout at you. They do not insult you. They do not argue with you. And that is why they are difficult to recognize. They hurt you quietly. You sit with them and everything seems normal. You talk, you smile, you listen. But when you leave, your heart feels tired. Your mind feels full. Your soul feels empty. And you don't know why. You say to yourself, they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't say anything bad. So why do I feel like this? my dear one. And this is how soul drainers work. They don't break you suddenly. They exhaust you slowly, a little at a time. Conversation after conversation, meeting after meeting, until one day you wake up and you don't recognize yourself anymore. You feel less joyful, less patient, less connected, less alive inside. And you think something is wrong with you, but nothing is wrong with you. What is wrong is that your soul is carrying what it was never meant to carry. Some people always come with problems. Every time they speak, there is complaint, there is negativity, there is bitterness. They talk about people, they talk about life, they talk about hardship, but they never talk about hope. They never talk about gratitude. They never talk about Allah. And slowly their darkness enters your heart, not because you are weak, but because you are open. A heart that is open absorbs what is around it. That is why Islam teaches us to be careful with company, because company shapes the heart even when you are silent. Some people do not want solutions, they want attention. Some people do not want peace. They want someone to sit with them in pain. And my dear brother, my dear sister, you cannot heal someone by drowning with them. You sit and listen. You try to help. You try to be patient. But every time you leave, you feel drained. Your energy is gone. Your peace is gone. Your motivation is gone. And you don't realize that you are slowly being emptied. Allah did not create you to be an emotional container for everyone. He did not create your heart to absorb endless negativity. He created your heart to remember Him, to feel peace, to carry light. When that light is constantly drained, your soul becomes tired. That is why sometimes after being around certain people, you don't feel like praying. Not because you don't love Allah, but because your heart is exhausted. And Allah sees this. He sees how much you give. He sees how little you receive. He sees how often you leave drained. So He sends you signs. The sign is not loud. The sign is not dramatic. The sign is exhaustion. You feel tired without working hard. You feel heavy without a clear reason. You feel irritated without understanding why. This is not random. This is your soul saying, I am tired of carrying this. Some people always they take your listening ear, they take your time, they take your emotional energy, and they never ask, how are you? They never notice when your smile is forced. They never notice when your silence is loud, and slowly you start disappearing. You stop talking, you stop sharing, you stop feeling excited because you are tired of giving to people who only know how to receive. My dear one, Islam does not teach us to destroy ourselves for others. Yes, we help. Yes, we support. Yes, we care, but not at the cost of our soul. Even the Prophet ﷺ would step away when needed. Even he would seek solitude. Even he would rest his heart, because a tired heart cannot serve Allah well. If someone constantly drains your energy, your peace, your light, that connection needs wisdom, not anger, not hatred, not confrontation, just awareness. Allah sometimes allows you to feel exhausted, so you finally notice what is exhausting you. And when you notice, you begin to heal. You start limiting conversations. You start choosing silence. You start protecting your energy, and slowly your soul begins to breathe again. This is not selfishness. This is survival. This is Allah teaching you that your heart matters too. One of the hardest things about soul drainers is that they often don't know they are draining you. They are so used to pain that they speak its language. They are so familiar with darkness that they spread it without realizing. They are not always evil people. Sometimes they are simply wounded people who never learned how to heal. But my dear one, someone's pain does not give them permission to empty your soul. You feel bad stepping back because you tell yourself they are struggling. They have problems. They need someone. And because your heart is soft, you stay. You listen again. You absorb again. You carry again, until one day you realize you are no longer helping them. You are losing yourself. Allah never asked you to disappear so others can survive. He never asked you to be drained so others can feel full. Yes, we support. Yes, we advise. Yes, we remind, but when support turns into suffocation, wisdom is needed. A person who truly wants healing will not drain you endlessly. They will take advice. They will try to change. They will move forward. But a soul drainer often resists change. Why? Because change requires effort, and draining others is easier than facing their own pain. So they repeat the same stories. They repeat the same complaints. They repeat the same negativity. And each time you listen, they feel lighter and you feel heavier. This is not balance. This is exchange at your expense. Allah sees this clearly. That is why sometimes He makes your heart tired around them. Not to punish you, but to wake you up. That exhaustion you feel is Allah saying, my servant, you are not meant to carry this. But guilt keeps you stuck. You fear being seen as cold. You fear being called changed. You fear hurting feelings. But ask yourself gently, who is hurting your feelings every time you leave exhausted? Who is protecting your peace? Allah does not want you to hate anyone. He does not want anger in your heart. He wants distance with dignity, distance without bitterness, distance without arguments, distance without explanation, just kiat protection. You may notice that when you begin to pull back, some people become uncomfortable. They may say, you don't talk like before. You're not available anymore. You've changed. And my dear one, sometimes change is the proof of healing. You changed because you learned that your energy is not unlimited. You changed because you realized that peace is also rizq. You changed because Allah taught you that light should not be wasted where it is never appreciated. When you stop absorbing negativity, your heart slowly recovers. You start feeling calm again. You start enjoying silence again. You start feeling closer to Allah again. Your prayers feel softer. Your chest feels lighter. Your thoughts feel clearer. This is what happens. When you stop leaking energy, Allah replaces exhaustion with ease. And something beautiful happens inside you. You become kinder without being drained. You become present without being empty. You become helpful without being harmed. This is balance. My dear brother, my dear sister, a heart that is always tired cannot shine. And Allah created you to shine with peace. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your listening ear. Not everyone deserves access to your emotional strength. This does not make you selfish. It makes you wise. Allah loves when His servants protect what He entrusted them with. Your heart is an amana. Protect it. And when you do, Allah will fill it with calm, with light, with strength. May Allah protect your soul. May He replace exhaustion with ease. May He surround you with people who add peace, not pressure. And may He grant you the wisdom to step back from what drains you without hatred, without guilt, and without fear. Loving someone does not mean losing yourself. One of the most painful misunderstandings in life is believing that loving someone means losing yourself for them. You were taught that if you truly care, you must always be available. If you truly love, you must always sacrifice. If you truly want to be good, you must always say yes. And slowly, without noticing, you start disappearing. You stop listening to your own needs. You stop honoring your own limits. You stop protecting your own heart, all in the name of love. But my dear one, Allah never asked you to lose yourself. To prove your sincerity, love in Islam is not self-destruction, it is balance. You can love someone deeply and still say, this hurts me. You can care sincerely and still say, I need space. You can wish someone well and still choose distance. This does not mean your heart is hard. It means your heart is awake. Many people confuse love with endurance. They think if you can tolerate pain, that must be love. But Allah did not design love to slowly drain your soul. Love should bring calm. Love should bring safety. Love should bring peace. When love only brings anxiety, restlessness, and exhaustion, something is wrong. My dear brother, my dear sister, if being close to someone constantly makes you doubt yourself, makes you feel small, makes you feel guilty for existing, that is not love, that is loss. And Allah does not want you lost. Sometimes you stay because you remember how things used to be. You remember the laughter. You remember the connection. You remember the comfort. And you hope maybe it will go back to how it was. But Allah teaches us something painful yet powerful. Not everything that once felt good is meant to stay forever. People change. Hearts change. Paths change. And sometimes what once healed you now harms you. Allah does not blame you for loving. He blames injustice. And injustice can happen even in close relationships. When you give and give until your heart is empty, that is injustice to yourself. And Allah is the most just. He does not want you to betray yourself to keep others comfortable. My dear one, you are allowed to love without bleeding. You are allowed to care without collapsing. You are allowed to support without sacrificing your soul. Islam never taught us to stay where we are constantly wounded. Even patience has limits. Even endurance has wisdom. When patience turns into self-destruction, it is no longer patience, it is neglect. And Allah does not love neglect of the soul. Sometimes people say, if you loved me, you wouldn't change. If you cared, you wouldn't pull away. But my dear brother, my dear sister, change is not betrayal. Sometimes change is growth. You pull away because you learned your worth. You step back because you finally heard your heart. And Allah guided you to that awareness. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to explain it. Allah knows why you changed. He saw how much you endured. He saw how much you carried quietly. He saw how often you put yourself last. And Allah does not forget silent pain. There is a difference between loving someone and living for someone. When you live for someone, you lose direction. When you love with wisdom, you keep your balance. Allah wants you balanced because a balanced heart can worship properly. A balanced heart can love properly. A balanced heart can give properly. If you are constantly drained, you cannot serve Allah well. You cannot serve people well. You cannot even serve yourself. So Allah teaches you slowly that love must include limits. Not limits to punish others, limits to protect yourself. You don't stop loving. You stop overgiving. You don't become cold. You become careful. You don't harden your heart. You guard it. And in guarding it, you allow Allah to heal it. My dear brother, my dear sister, you are not wrong for choosing peace over pain. You are not weak for stepping back from what hurts. You are not selfish for loving yourself enough to stop bleeding silently. Allah does not reward self-destruction. He rewards sincerity. And sincerity includes honesty with yourself. When you love without losing yourself, your heart feels lighter. Your prayers feel calmer. Your life feels clearer because Allah never wanted you broken. He wanted you whole. One of the reasons loving without losing yourself feels so hard is because guilt follows you the moment you try to protect your heart. You begin to feel bad for pulling back. You feel uneasy for not replying quickly. You feel wrong for choosing silence over conversation. And a small voice inside you says, am I being unfair? Am I being selfish? Am I hurting someone? But my dear one, Allah never guilts you for protecting what He entrusted to you. That guilt does not come from faith, it comes from fear. Fear of disappointing people, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being labeled ungrateful or changed. But ask yourself gently, when your heart was hurting, who noticed? When your soul felt tired, who asked? When you were breaking quietly, who protected you? Allah saw all of it. Sometimes love becomes heavy because it turns into pressure. Pressure to stay the same. Pressure to always be available. Pressure to absorb moods, pain and anger that were never yours to carry. And my dear brother, my dear sister, love that demands your disappearance is not love that Allah approves. Allah created you as an individual soul, not as an emotional support system for someone who refuses to heal. There are times when people use love as a way to control. They don't say it directly, but you feel it in their reactions. When you pull back, they get upset. When you say no, they make you feel guilty. When you choose space, they accuse you of changing. And slowly, you start doubting your own heart. But Allah does not confuse His servants. If something repeatedly hurts your peace, that is clarity. You are not responsible for managing everyone's emotions. You are not responsible for keeping everyone comfortable. You are responsible for keeping your heart alive and clean so it can remember Allah. My dear one, you can still love someone without being constantly present. You can still wish someone well without carrying their burdens. You can still make dua without staying in pain. Distance does not always mean hatred. Sometimes distance means dignity. Sometimes it means survival. And Allah understands this. When you begin to love with wisdom, your heart changes. You stop rushing to explain yourself. You stop proving your sincerity. You stop begging for understanding. You become calm. Not because you stopped caring, but because you stopped bleeding. You begin to choose conversations that bring peace. You begin to value silence more than forced connection. And slowly, your heart begins to trust again. This is healing. Some people will not understand your growth. They benefited from your exhaustion. They were comfortable when you had no limits. So when you grow, they feel uncomfortable. But my dear brother, my dear sister, your growth is not betrayal. Your healing is not cruelty. Allah does not ask you to remain wounded to keep others satisfied. He asks you to walk with dignity. And when you do, Allah replaces unhealthy attachment with calm companionship. He replaces emotional pressure with inner peace. He replaces draining love with love that feels safe. Love that does not demand your disappearance. Love that does not pull you away from Allah. My dear one, when you love without losing yourself, you worship better. You pray better. You breathe better. Your heart becomes lighter. Your chest becomes open. Your soul becomes steady. Because Allah never wanted you to choose between love and peace. He wanted you to experience both in the right way. May Allah heal your heart. May He remove guilt from your chest. May He teach you how to love without losing yourself. And may He replace every painful connection with peace, dignity and barakah. When peace leaves your heart, Allah is calling you back. There comes a moment in life when you start feeling distant from Allah and you don't understand why. You still pray. You still believe. You still love Him, but your heart feels heavy. Your focus feels weak. Your peace feels far, and you begin to worry. You ask yourself quietly, why do I feel like this? Why does my heart feel tired? Why does worship feel difficult? My dear one, ask many times, the problem is not your faith. The problem is what your heart is carrying. A heart that is full of noise cannot feel peace. A heart that is full of negativity cannot feel closeness. A heart that is constantly disturbed cannot feel calm in worship. Allah created your heart as a place for remembrance, not as a storage room for emotional chaos. Sometimes peace leaves your heart, not because Allah moved away from you, but because too many things moved between you and Him. Too many voices, too many complaints, too many expectations, too many emotional burdens, and your heart becomes crowded. My dear brother, my dear sister, when your peace leaves, Allah is not abandoning you. He is calling you back. He is showing you that something in your life is pulling you away from Him. Sometimes it is people. Sometimes it is conversations. Sometimes it is emotional attachment that has become unhealthy. You may not notice it immediately, but your heart feels it. You sit with certain people, and afterward your mind feels restless. Your thoughts become heavy. Your chest feels tight, and then you try to pray, but the heart is distracted. The mind keeps replaying words. The soul feels tired. This is not laziness. This is overload. Allah never asked your heart to carry what it cannot handle. If peace disappears after certain company, Allah is showing you something important. He is saying gently, my servant, something is disturbing. The place where I should be remembered. Not everything that feels familiar is healthy. Not everything that feels close is good for the soul. Sometimes people occupy space in your heart that only Allah should fill. And without realizing it, your heart becomes divided. My dear one, Allah wants your heart clear. Clear so it can feel calm. Clear so it can feel light. Clear so it can remember Him easily. When peace leaves your heart, it is often a sign that Allah wants you to remove what is blocking Him. This is not punishment. This is guidance. Allah does not shout. He nudges. He does not force. He invites. The invitation often comes as discomfort. You feel uneasy. You feel restless. You feel disconnected. And instead of panicking, Allah wants you to pause. Look at what surrounds your heart. What are you listening to? Who are you sitting with? What emotions are you absorbing? Because what enters the heart shapes the soul. Some people constantly speak about negativity. Some constantly complain. Some constantly bring drama. Some constantly pull you into emotional tension. And every time you listen, a little peace leaves. Until one day you realize you no longer feel calm. Allah sees this. He sees how your heart is affected. He sees how your soul is tired. So He removes peace to wake you up, not to punish you, but to protect you. Peace is a gift from Allah, and Allah does not remove gifts without wisdom. When peace leaves, it is an alarm. It is Allah saying, my servant, something is wrong here. And my dear brother, my dear sister, Allah loves you too much to let you stay distracted forever. So He creates discomfort. You feel uncomfortable in gatherings you once enjoyed. You feel tired of conversations you once tolerated. You crave silence more than company. This is Allah changing your heart. Not because you are becoming cold, but because you are becoming aware. A heart that is waking up no longer enjoys what drains it. And when you listen to this signal, something beautiful happens. Your heart begins to clean itself. You speak less. You listen less. You protect your peace more. And slowly, your connection with Allah strengthens again. Your prayers feel calmer. Your chest feels lighter. Your thoughts feel clearer because the heart finally has space for Allah again. My dear one, never think that feeling distant from peace means Allah is angry with you. Sometimes it means He wants you closer. He wants you to remove what stands between you and Him, and He trusts you enough to notice the sign. This is not loss. This is mercy. This is Allah guiding you back to what truly matters. When peace leaves your heart, many people panic. They think something is wrong with their faith. They think Allah is displeased with them. They think they are failing. But very often, Allah removes peace not because you are bad, but because He wants to protect something beautiful inside you. Peace is not just a feeling. Peace is a sign. When Allah gives peace, it means your heart is aligned with Him. When peace is disturbed, it means something has entered your life that does not belong there. Allah never confuses His servants. He guides them gently. He shows you the problem before it destroys you. Sometimes He removes peace before He removes people. Because if He removed people first, your heart might resist. So He starts with the heart. You begin to feel uncomfortable where you once felt comfortable. You begin to feel tired where you once felt energetic. You begin to feel distant where you once felt attached. And slowly your heart begins to let go. This is Allah teaching you that your soul has limits. You were never meant to carry endless emotions, endless negativity, endless pressure. Your heart is small but precious. It cannot carry everything and still stay alive. So Allah protects it. You may notice that you now crave silence, not because you hate people, but because your soul needs rest. You may notice that you enjoy being alone with Allah more, not because you are lonely, but because your heart feels safe there. This is healing. Many people mistake this phase as isolation. But my dear one, this is restoration. Allah is restoring your heart. He is cleaning it gently, like dust being wiped slowly from something valuable. And as He cleans it, you begin to feel lighter. You start to pray with focus again. You start to feel calm after salah. You start to breathe deeply again because the heart is no longer crowded. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah wants you closer, He removes distraction, not suddenly, not harshly. Slowly, He makes what distracts you feel heavy. He makes what drains you feel exhausting. So you step back without hatred, without anger, without drama, just quietly. And Allah loves quiet obedience. You don't need to announce your distance. You don't need to justify your silence. Allah knows why you stepped back. He saw how much your heart was carrying. He saw how tired your soul became. He saw how peace was slipping away. And Allah does not abandon hearts that turn to Him. When you finally listen, Allah replaces what you removed. He replaces noise with clarity. He replaces pressure with calm. He replaces heaviness with light, and something changes inside you. You stop chasing peace in people. You stop searching for calm in conversations. You stop expecting fulfillment from places that were never meant to give it. You begin to find peace in remembering Allah. And that peace is different. It does not depend on people. It does not break easily. It does not disappear suddenly. It stays. My dear one, if your heart has been restless lately, do not ignore it. Do not silence it. Do not fight it. Ask Allah gently, "Oh Allah, what is blocking my peace?" And then listen. The answer may come through discomfort, through detachment, through silence, but it will come with mercy. Allah never removes peace without planning something better. He takes away distraction to give you direction. He takes away noise to give you clarity. He takes away false comfort to give you real peace. So trust Him. Trust the discomfort. Trust the distance. Trust the quiet. Allah is not pushing you away. He is pulling you closer. And in that closeness, your heart will finally rest. May Allah return peace to your heart. May He remove what blocks your light. May He fill your soul with calm that no one can take away. And may He keep you close to Him in every season of your life. You don't need to explain why you are protecting yourself. One of the most difficult things to learn in life is that you do not need to explain your healing to everyone. You don't need to justify your silence. You don't need to defend your distance. You don't need to convince people that you are protecting your heart. Yet many of us feel uncomfortable the moment we stop explaining ourselves. We feel guilty. We feel uneasy. We feel like we owe everyone answers. And slowly that pressure becomes another burden our heart carries. But my dear one, Allah never asked you to live your life as an explanation. He asked you to live it with sincerity. Some people demand explanation not because they care, but because they are losing access. They were comfortable when you were always available. They were comfortable when you were always listening. They were comfortable when you were always giving. So when you step back, they feel disturbed. And instead of asking, "Are you okay?" they ask, "Why are you doing this?" This is where confusion begins. You start explaining, you start defending, you start justifying, and the more you explain, the more drained you feel. Because explanation costs energy, and your energy is already low. My dear brother, my dear sister, you do not need permission to protect your peace. You do not need approval to choose silence. You do not need agreement to walk away from what harms you. Allah knows your intention, and that is enough. When you explain yourself to everyone, you reopen wounds. Allah is trying to heal. You revisit pain that was finally settling. You give people access to parts of your heart that were closing for your protection. And slowly, your healing is delayed. This is why silence is sometimes mercy. Not silence to punish others, but silence to protect yourself. There are people who will never understand your reasons, no matter how clearly you explain, because understanding requires sincerity, and not everyone is sincere. Some people only want control. Some only want reassurance that they still matter more than your peace. And my dear one, your peace matters. Allah values it. That is why sometimes He teaches you to be quiet, not because you have nothing to say, but because saying less keeps your heart safe. You may notice that when you stop explaining, some people become angry. They accuse you of changing. They say you are cold. They say you are distant. But ask yourself gently, when you were exhausted, did they notice? When your heart was heavy, did they ask? When your soul was tired, did they protect you? Allah saw all of it. And Allah does not require you to keep bleeding to prove your goodness. My dear brother, my dear sister, explanations often come from fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of being disliked. But when your heart is connected to Allah, you learn something powerful. You learn that being understood by Allah is enough. You don't need everyone to see your heart. You don't need everyone to agree with your choices. You don't need everyone to like your boundaries. Allah knows why you stepped back. Allah knows what you endured. Allah knows what drained you. And His knowledge is greater than people's opinions. Sometimes Allah removes the urge to explain. You simply feel quiet inside, not angry, not bitter, just done. And this quiet is not emptiness. It is strength. It means your heart has stopped begging for understanding from places that never offered it. It means your soul has decided to protect itself. This is growth, my dear one. There is a difference between clarity and explanation. Clarity is knowing why you stepped back. Explanation is trying to convince others. Allah gives you clarity. People demand explanation, and you are allowed to choose clarity over noise. When you stop explaining yourself, something beautiful happens. Your heart relaxes, your mind becomes calm. Your chest feels lighter because you are no longer living under pressure. You begin to move quietly. You choose peace silently. You protect yourself without announcement. And Allah loves quiet strength. He loves hearts that trust Him enough to stop proving themselves. You don't owe the world your pain story. You don't owe everyone access to your healing process. You don't owe anyone a seat in your private struggle. Allah saw it all. That is enough. My dear brother, my dear sister, if explaining yourself keeps reopening wounds, then silence is worship. If talking drains your soul, then quiet is mercy. If justifying yourself steals your peace, then walking away quietly is obedience. Allah is not offended by your silence. He is pleased when you protect what He entrusted you with. Your heart is an amana, and you are finally learning how to protect it. When you stop explaining yourself, Allah begins to explain for you, not with words, but with outcomes. Not with arguments, but with peace. You see, explanations are heavy. They pull you back into places Allah already helped you leave. Every time you explain, you reopen a door that was slowly closing for your safety. And some people are waiting for that door to open again, not to understand you, but to step back in. Allah knows this. That is why sometimes He removes the strength to speak. You want to say something, but you don't. You want to justify, but you feel tired. You want to defend your heart, but silence feels better. This is not weakness. This is Allah strengthening you quietly. Silence protects dignity. When you stop explaining, you stop arguing with people who never planned to listen. You stop trying to convince hearts that already decided not to care. You stop proving pain to people who benefited from it. And my dear one, that is freedom. Many people think silence means defeat, but silence often means completion. It means you finally understood that your energy is valuable. It means you realized that some conversations lead nowhere. It means you trusted Allah enough to let Him handle what you cannot. When you stop explaining, your heart becomes calm. You are no longer rehearsing conversations. You are no longer replaying words. You are no longer doubting yourself. Your chest feels lighter. Your breathing becomes deeper. Your sleep becomes peaceful because your heart is no longer fighting. Allah does not need you to defend yourself endlessly. He is Al-Wakil, the one who manages affairs. When you let Him take over, you stop feeling the need to prove anything. You may notice that some people misunderstand you. Let them. Understanding from everyone was never your responsibility. Your responsibility was sincerity with Allah and honesty with your own heart. Allah sees your intentions. Even when people see silence, He knows why you stepped back. He knows what you carried. He knows how tired your soul became. And Allah never allows silent pain to go unnoticed. Sometimes Allah teaches you that dignity is quieter than explanation. That peace is quieter than justification. That healing does not need witnesses. You don't announce your growth. You don't advertise your boundaries. You simply live them. And those who are meant to stay will understand without explanation. Those who are not will leave without understanding. And both outcomes bring relief. My dear brother, my dear sister, when you stop explaining yourself, you stop begging for validation. You stop asking people to see your pain. You stop needing approval for choices Allah guided you toward. And that confidence does not come from ego. It comes from trust. Trust that Allah knows your heart. Trust that Allah saw your struggle. Trust that Allah will defend you better than your words ever could. Silence teaches people how to treat you. It shows them that your peace is no longer negotiable. And Allah supports that. You may feel lonely at first, but that loneliness is temporary. What replaces it is clarity. Clarity about who matters. Clarity about what drains you. Clarity about where Allah wants you to stand. And with clarity comes strength, not loud strength. Quiet strength, the kind that does not need to explain itself. My dear one, if your heart finally feels tired of talking, honor that feeling. If your soul wants quiet, give it quiet. If silence feels safer, trust it. Allah is doing something beautiful inside you. He is teaching you that you do not need to speak to be protected. He is teaching you that you do not need to explain to be understood by Him. He is teaching you that peace comes when you let go of the need to be heard by everyone. May Allah guard your silence. May He protect your dignity. May He speak for you in ways words never could. And may He fill your heart with calm so deep that explanations no longer feel necessary. Allah removes people when they block your growth. There are moments in life when people leave and it hurts in a way you cannot explain. Not because they were perfect, not because the relationship was easy, but because they were familiar. You trusted them, you opened your heart, you built memories, you shared pieces of your life, and then slowly or suddenly they are gone. And your heart asks question. Why did this happen? Why now? Why like this? My dear one, sometimes Allah removes people not to hurt you, but to protect what you are becoming. You see, Allah knows your future before you ever imagine it. He knows where you are going. He knows who you are becoming. He knows the strength He is building inside you. And sometimes certain people cannot walk with you to that next level. Not because they are bad, but because they are not meant to go where Allah is taking you. So Allah creates distance, sometimes gently, sometimes painfully, but always with wisdom. You may think, if they stayed, I would have been happier. But Allah sees something else. He sees what they were blocking. He sees how they distracted you. He sees how they drained your energy. He sees how they kept you tied to an old version of yourself. And Allah loves you too much to let you stay stuck. Sometimes Allah removes people because they would have slowed your growth. Sometimes He removes them because they benefited from your weakness. Sometimes He removes them because they could not handle the strength you were developing. And sometimes He removes them because they were standing between you and Him. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah removes someone, He does not always explain immediately. He allows you to feel the pain first, not to punish you, but to detach your heart. Because if He explained too early, your heart would resist. So He lets you grieve. You feel empty, you feel lonely, you feel confused. And slowly, you start seeing things clearly. You start noticing patterns you ignored before. You start remembering moments that didn't feel right. You start understanding why your soul was tired. This clarity does not come overnight. It comes after pain. And pain, my dear one, is sometimes the door to wisdom. Allah removes people when they no longer align with the direction He chose for you. You may have begged Allah to fix the relationship. You may have prayed for closeness. You may have asked Him to soften hearts. And Allah answered by creating distance. Not every no from Allah is rejection. Some no's are a protection in disguise. My dear one, you might feel replaced. You might feel forgotten. You might feel unimportant. But Allah never removes someone to make you smaller. He removes them to make space. Space for growth. Space for clarity. Space for peace. space for Him. Sometimes Allah removes people because they would never understand the person you are becoming. They were comfortable with the old you, the version that overgave, the version that stayed silent, the version that carried everyone's burdens. But Allah is shaping a new version of you, a version with boundaries, a version with wisdom, a version with strength. And not everyone is meant to meet that version. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah removes people, do not chase them. Do not beg for explanations. Do not force reconnection. If Allah wanted them to stay, they would have stayed. Trust His decision, even when your heart hurts, because Allah never removes without replacing. He may not replace immediately, but He always replaces meaningfully. Sometimes He replaces people with peace. Sometimes He replaces noise with clarity. Sometimes He replaces distraction with closeness to Him. And sometimes it replaces loss with yourself. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You begin to feel your own needs again. You begin to recognize your worth again. This is not loneliness. This is realignment. Allah is aligning you with what you asked for, even if it doesn't look like it yet. You asked Allah to grow. You asked Allah for peace. You asked Allah for strength. And Allah answered by removing what blocked it. My dear one, if someone left your life and your soul is slowly breathing again, that is not coincidence. If someone disappeared and your heart feels lighter over time, that is not random. That is Allah saying, my servant, this was necessary. You may still miss them. You may still remember them, but you no longer feel trapped. And that freedom is Allah's mercy. When Allah removes someone from your life, the pain does not disappear quickly. At first, it feels sharp. You replay conversations. You remember moments. You question yourself again and again. You ask, was it my fault? Could I have done more? Did I give up too soon? These questions are natural. They come from a heart that cared. But my dear one, Allah does not remove people carelessly. He removes with knowledge. He removes with wisdom. He removes with mercy. If someone truly belonged in your next chapter, Allah would have protected the connection. If someone was meant to walk beside you in what is coming, Allah would have softened both hearts. But when Allah closes a door, it is because He sees what you cannot. He sees the arguments that would have grown. He sees the exhaustion that would have deepened. He sees the pain that would have repeated. And He loves you too much to let that happen. At first, you miss the person. Later, you realize you missed the idea of what you hoped it would become, the idea of what you imagined together, the idea of how you wished it had stayed. But Allah deals in reality, not in imagination, and reality is where healing begins. Me dear brother, me dear sister, sometimes Allah removes people right before you grow stronger. Not because they are enemies, but because they would not recognize the strength you are about to carry. They knew the old you, the tired you, the overgiving you, the silent you. But Allah is shaping someone new, someone who speaks with wisdom, someone who walks with dignity, someone who protects their heart, someone who knows their worth. And not everyone can handle that version of you. So Allah separates you before resentment is created. He removes them before love turns into bitterness. This is mercy. You may not feel it immediately, but one day you will look back and say, Ya Allah, thank you for that distance. Thank you for saving my heart. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for choosing for me when I could not choose for myself. My dear one, Allah does not replace people the same way the world does. He does not rush. Sometimes He replaces them with silence so you can heal. Sometimes He replaces them with solitude so you can grow. Sometimes He replaces them with Himself, so you learn where peace truly comes from. And in that season, you become closer to Allah than you ever were before. Your dua becomes honest. Your tears become meaningful. Your prayers become sincere because you are no longer distracted by what drained you. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start smiling again. Not because everything is perfect, but because your heart feels safe. You no longer feel anxious, waiting for messages. You no longer feel pressured to be understood. You feel free. This freedom is not loneliness. It is space. Space to breathe. Space to think, space to heal, space to become who Allah wants you to be. My dear brother, my dear sister, never chase what Allah removed. Never beg for what Allah blocked. Never reopen doors Allah closed to protect you. If Allah wanted it in your life, it would have stayed. Trust Him even when your heart feels weak, because Allah's plan is always kinder than our emotions. One day you will meet people who don't drain you, who don't confuse you, who don't exhaust you, people who respect your boundaries, people who value your peace, people who walk with you without pulling you down. And you will realize why others had to leave. Until that day, trust Allah's timing. He is not taking from you. He is preparing you. May Allah heal every heart that still aches from what He removed. May He replace pain with wisdom. May He fill every empty space with light and peace. And may He help you trust that what left your life made room for something better. When you stop giving access to soul drainers, Allah fills you with light. There comes a moment when you finally stop giving access to the people who drained you. Not with anger, not with hatred, not with revenge, but with quiet clarity. You don't announce it. You don't explain it. You simply step back. And at first, it feels strange. You are so used to giving that not giving feels uncomfortable. You are so used to listening that silence feels unfamiliar. You are so used to carrying others that putting the weight down feels heavy. But my dear one, this discomfort does not last. Because something beautiful begins to happen. When you stop giving access to soul drainers, Allah begins to fill you. You may not notice it immediately, but slowly your heart feels lighter. Your chest feels open. Your thoughts feel calm. You wake up one day and you realize you are breathing deeply again. Not because your life became perfect, but because your heart is no longer crowded. You see, my dear brother, my dear sister, your heart was never empty. It was leaking energy, leaking peace, leaking joy. Every time you listened to negativity, a little light left. Every time you tolerated disrespect, a little strength left. Every time you stayed silent to keep peace, a little self-worth left. And you didn't even notice because you were focused on being good. But Allah noticed. Allah saw how much you poured out. Allah saw how little you received. Allah saw how tired your soul became. And now He is refilling you. When you stop giving access to soul drainers, you create space. And Allah loves empty space because He fills it Himself. That empty space in your heart is not loneliness. It is room. Room for calm. Room for clarity. Room for light. Room for Allah. My dear one, you might feel quiet now, not because you are sad, but because you are no longer overwhelmed. You may feel selective now, not because you are proud, but because you finally value your peace. You may feel distant now, not because you stopped loving, but because you stopped bleeding. This is healing. When Allah fills your heart, He does it gently. He does not rush. He does not overwhelm. He replaces noise with silence. He replaces pressure with ease. He replaces confusion with certainty. You begin to feel content, even without constant interaction. You start enjoying your own company. You start loving quiet moments. You start feeling close to Allah in ways you never felt before. This closeness is different. It is calm. It is stable. It does not depend on people, because Allah is now filling the place you once gave to those who drained you. My dear brother, my dear sister, when Allah fills you, your standards change. You no longer crave attention. You no longer chase validation. You no longer beg to be understood. You feel full, and a full heart does not run after what drains it. You start noticing who adds peace and who brings chaos. You start choosing carefully who gets your time, who gets your words, who gets your energy. Not because you think you are better, but because you know how expensive your peace is. Allah teaches you that peace is risk, and you do not waste risk, you protect it. You may notice that some people no longer feel comfortable around you, not because you changed for the worse, but because you no longer allow what once benefited them, and that is okay. Those who truly care about you will respect your calm. Those who only benefited from your exhaustion will feel disturbed. And Allah is fine with that. Because Allah did not refill you for you to be drained again. He refilled you so you could live with dignity. My dear one, there is a special kind of peace that comes when Allah fills your heart. It is not excitement. It is not noise. It is steadiness. You feel grounded. You feel safe. You feel held even when life is difficult. Your heart is calm because it is no longer dependent on people who come and go. It is connected to Allah, who never leaves. This is the greatest gift. Not everyone will understand this phase of your life. They may say, you're quiet, you're distant, you're not like before. And they are right. You are no longer empty. You are no longer drained. You are no longer leaking light. Allah filled you. And when Allah fills a heart, that heart no longer begs for what drains it. It rests, it trusts, it breathes. My dear brother, my dear sister, if your heart feels lighter right now, that is not because of words. It is because Allah allowed you to listen at the moment your soul needed it. Nothing you heard today was meant to rush you. It was meant to hold you. Remember this gently. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not broken for needing distance. You are not wrong for protecting your peace. Allah does not heal loudly. He heals slowly, deeply, and with care. And sometimes the greatest healing is not what Allah adds to your life, but what He removes. If you feel quieter after this, if you feel calmer, if you feel like breathing is easier, thank Allah. That calm is His gift. As you go back to your life, don't force anything. Let Allah guide you step by step. Let your heart stay soft. Let your boundaries stay firm. And if this message stayed with you, if it spoke to something you couldn't explain, keep it close. Come back to it. Whenever your soul feels heavy again, may Allah protect your heart. May He replace every drain with peace. May He surround you with those who add light, not pressure. And may He always guide you toward what brings you closer to Him.